Buongiorno, Stick here. What are we going to talk about today? I thought we'd talk about Menieres. What the hell's Menieres, you might ask? Well, if like me you've suffered from it for 30 years, you'll know full well what Menieres is. For those of you who don't know, well, maybe it's a bit of a voyage of discovery, a bit more information. You may find somebody who does. So what is it? Menieres disease. It is an affliction. It's caused by a build-up of fluid in the inner ear, the labyrinth, and that build-up of fluid can cause several symptoms. It can cause tinnitus or ringing in the ear. That can be quite nasty, quite loud. It can cause a fullness in the ear, as if you've got something, your ear's full of water after you've been swimming, a fullness in the ear. But the main symptom it can cause is dizziness, and that dizziness can really set you low for could be a few minutes, a few hours, or even all day. It can be really nasty and cause you to feel sick and feel very ill. Lying down really is the only thing that you can do. Normally speaking, certainly for me, the attacks happen in just one ear, but I do read reports and I talk to people that suffer from Menieres, or the attacks or symptoms of Menieres in both ears. That's never happened to me, thank goodness. The attacks can come on quite suddenly. They can last, as I say, for a few minutes or a few hours. So far as I was concerned, my attacks of Menieres came on over probably about 48 hours. I got a fullness in my ear, a certain amount of tinnitus which started to build up, and that was always a sign that within the next day or so I would suffer the dizziness that would lay me down for an amount of time until it wore off. That peak time, that dizziness that makes you sick and makes you ill, might only last a very short period, but after that the fullness in your ear and the tinnitus might go on for a few days, but certainly it's not going to do anything so serious that it's going to keep you off work. So the full kind of episode can last for several days. Some people it just lasts for a few hours or even just a few minutes. What causes Menieres? Nobody knows. It just happens. It can be males or females. It can be almost any age. Normally, as I say, it just happens in one ear, not both. It is an officially recognised disease. If you're suffering from any kind of symptoms that sound like this, then you must go and see your GP straight away, your doctor straight away. They're the experts, and they can put you on to other specialists who specialise in the kind of ENT, the ear, nose and throat side of things. I've even spoken to specialists who specialise just in Menieres and other ear problems, and they can be of great help. So that's a basic outline of Menieres. Menieres is something best described as a disease that comes in three main stages. The first stage, which is when you're probably going to go first see your doctor, the attacks of tinnitus and dizziness, fullness in the ear, can be quite severe and can come on without a lot of warning. That's probably, so far as the symptoms are concerned, the worst period. How long that period lasts for, you need to speak to your doctor, and it can vary tremendously from person to person. But that's stage one. In between attacks, you're going to go back to being normal again. The tinnitus, fullness in the ear, the dizziness will disappear, should disappear, and as I say, you return to normal. The attacks can be quite common, quite regular, and that will move on into stage two. Stage two, as you could probably guess, the attacks become less frequent, less severe, but the amount of tinnitus and ringing in the ear can persist. Although the dizziness will go away, the periods of remission will get longer, so the amount of attacks will become fewer. Eventually you'll move into stage three, which is where I am at the moment. Stage three, the attacks will diminish. Perhaps the major dizziness, the main tinnitus, fullness in the ear might even go away altogether. But you will be left with a certain amount of after effects and permanent hearing loss perhaps, a certain amount of permanent tinnitus perhaps. But the dizziness should go away altogether. I'm in that phase now after 20-30 years of suffering from Menieres. In my left ear, which is where I got most of the attacks in my left ear, I have an amount of tinnitus in here now and a certain amount of hearing loss. Not too bad, you know, I can live with it quite easily. I live out here in Italy, I have a great old life. So having Menieres is not the end of the world. It's not a nice thing. Go and see a doctor. He can move you on to therapists who are experts in the field. Talk to some support groups. There's one or two out there on the internet. Talk to other people who suffer from Menieres. It is nice to talk to people. But after 20-30 years of suffering from Menieres, I have a great life. I enjoy myself. I've got a fabulous family. So it's not the end of the world. It's about positive mental attitude. But I'm in that third phase now where the major dizziness doesn't normally affect me anymore, long periods of remission. But I am left with a little bit of tinnitus and some hearing loss in my left ear. But certainly something that's it's quite easily manageable. And to be fair, as you get a little bit older, your hearing loss kind of comes in anyway. So that's the first, second and third stages. How's it treated? You need to speak to your doctor. So far as I was concerned, I took beta-histine, or Circ as it's sometimes known, and that certainly helps. But there's lots of different treatments, surgical treatments or treatments just with medicine. There's also things that therapists can help with so far as balance and retraining yourself to get that balance, to get your brain and your ears working together again. So there's lots of things that can be done, as I say, surgically, with medicines. Beta-histine, Circ is one I take with great effect. But there's also therapies that you can go through that will certainly help as well. But as I said earlier on, it's about talking to people also, get some help, some information, because Menieres can affect people in many different ways. And people find their own coping strategies. I certainly have. And you do that through a little bit of experience of suffering from Menieres, but also from talking to other people. People like me who are no expert but suffer from Menieres, through support groups, and as I say, there's a few out there on the internet, but also the medical people, the specialists like your GP, ENT people, therapists that can certainly help you through this affliction. So what are the triggers then? What sets Menieres off? What makes an attack happen? Well, as I say, it's a fullness in the inner ear, in the labyrinth. It's caused by a build-up of fluid. But what causes that build-up of fluid? Good question. And I think most people will say, well, we don't really know. There are a few things that people do. Low sodium or low salt diet. They give up alcohol and caffeine, give up smoking. All those things are good, I guess. A lot of people say stress. Stress can bring on an attack. A lot of people say that it's viral. I fancy that one, to be honest. I have noticed that over the years that if I've suffered particularly from one of those kind of a heady sinus type colds, an attack of Menieres soon follows. So it may just be coincidence. Quite often these things are. But I think I find that it's a virus that will set off an attack. It's a bit like being an asthmatic, really. You are an asthmatic, but certain things will trigger your asthma. And I think I suffer from Menieres, but certain things trigger my Menieres. If I never got a cold, if I never got a virus, maybe I would never even know that I got Menieres. But you do, that's life. So there are lots of triggers. There are lots of things people do and try and avoid, as I say, alcohol, smoking, caffeine, salt, noisy places, stress. All these things are good. If you want to avoid all those things, make no mistake about it, that's a good thing to do. As I say, in my case, I think it's a lot of viral. I think it's a virus that triggers it. But nobody really knows. So just kind of lead the best life you can, really. Menieres will change over time. It will improve over time. As I previously mentioned, there's plenty of help out there. I think the most important thing that you can do is maintain a positive mental attitude. I live out here, I have a great life, and so do many, many people. Have a look on the internet, you'll be surprised how many people, famous people, have suffered from Menieres, and they've had full and very productive lives. In fact, it's a good challenge. You can get through this, you can get through anything. Positive mental attitude. Go and get some help. Talk to people. Avoid the potential triggers. Salt, caffeine, smoking, alcohol. Thank goodness they didn't say chocolate and cream cakes, but I guess some people would call that a trigger as well. Strong mental attitude. Believe in yourself. If I can do this, so can you. There's other questions about things like flying. Can I fly? I asked my doctor that. My GP is also a qualified occupational therapist, and he said to me, you shouldn't have any problems at all flying. There is no link between flying and Menieres. There's absolutely no reason why you should have an attack or why it should bring on Menieres. And I've flown many, many times now, probably 3 or 4 or 5 times a year. Not so much now, but certainly when I was working, and I never had any ill effects at all. In fact, there's one particular occasion when I was coming out here to Italy, actually, and I had a little what I call background Menieres. It's not something that's going to make you ill or make you have to lie down or worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. Just a little bit of grumbling, a little bit of dizziness, a little bit of fullness and tinnitus. And I flew out here from Stansted, and my Menieres, that little bit of background Menieres, actually got better. It improved with flying. I'm not saying that it was the flying that improved it. As I say, I'm no expert. I'm just somebody who suffers from the disease. But I've never noticed at all any time where my Menieres got worse because I flew. In fact, to be absolutely honest, I've never known anything in particular bring my Menieres on. The problem is, of course, that you can do something like I flew and 2 days later had an attack of Menieres. What you don't know is whether that attack was brought on by flying or whether it was just a coincidence. And that, I think, can happen to a lot of people. It's because I drank that wine a couple of days later I had an attack of Menieres, so it must be to do with alcohol. Maybe, maybe not, who knows. But I've never noticed anything in particular other than viruses that seem to bring on an attack of Menieres. And do stuff. Don't be a prisoner to it. It's very easy to become a prisoner to Menieres, as indeed a lot of diseases. Don't become a prisoner to it. Get out there. Positive, strong mental attitude. Live your life. Enjoy your time. Menieres, it's not going to dominate me, and it shouldn't dominate you either. Go and get some help. Talk to people. Be positive. That's me. That's Menieres. So from Variostick and Menieres disease, I'll say ciao ciao for now.
Action.